Chapter 5. I screamed. Sean shoved his chair back, too startled to make a sound. The wind rushed into the kitchen, cold and salty. It sent a stack of napkins flying into the air and toppled a water glass into the sink. Uncle Jim jumped to his feet, dove to the door, and, lowering his shoulder, shoved it shut. He turned to us, his face redder than before. "Gotta get the latch on that door fixed," he said. "Don't ye know, that happens all the time. A strong wind just sends the door flying open." He squinted at us, then laughed. "Did you think that was Danny's ghost? The two of ye got as pale as a schooner sail." That made him laugh even more. "It startled us, that's all," I said. "I'm not sure I believe the tales the villagers tell," Jim said, returning to the table. "Anyway, if the ghost of Danny Lubbins returns, he wouldn't use the door, would he?" Sean swallowed. A little color was slowly returning to his face. He opened his mouth to say something, but stopped. I followed his gaze. Sean was watching the cat. Celeste suddenly raised her head off the rug and sat up. Her black fur stood straight up along her back. She sniffed a few times as her green eyes moved around the room. Then she tilted her head to one side and said, "Danny?" "You've heard of Blackbeard the pirate, haven't ye?" Uncle Jim began a new story. "Maybe the most famous pirate of all time." "I think I've heard the name," I said, trying to remember. "We're not too into pirates," Sean confessed. "I saw one of the Johnny Depp pirate movies, but that's about it." Uncle Jim nodded. "Well, I sailed with one of Blackbeard's great-great-great-grandsons, who was even more famous for a time. Johnny Feathers. That was his name, because he always wore 2 white feathers in his cap." Uncle Jim rubbed his beard. "Johnny said they were valuable ostrich feathers from Madagascar, but they looked like they came off a seagull to me." He snickered. "I was young, but I knew not to correct Johnny Feathers. He was a good sailor, but he had a temper. He once threw a cook overboard because his roasted chicken was sliced too thin. I know that to be true." "Wow," I shook my head. "That's tough." "Kept me on my toes," Jim said. He lifted a cannonball off the floor. He was taking Sean and me around the house now, showing us some of the many treasures he had collected during all his years at sea. "Well, what I'm holding here is the cannonball that killed Johnny Feathers." I stared at it. It was a little smaller than a bowling ball and the same color black. For some reason, I expected to see bloodstains on it, but it was perfectly smooth and clean. "His men were testing the cannon," Uncle Jim said, balancing the heavy cannonball between both hands. "Johnny walked by at the wrong time. Someone yelled, 'Fire!' The ball sent his head sailing into the ocean. Johnny just stood there on the deck for a while, like he didn't believe his head was gone." "Were you there? Did you see it?" Sean whispered. Jim nodded. "They pulled the cannonball out of the ocean, and they got Johnny's hat back, too, with the feathers still on it." He shook his head, but they left Johnny's head at the bottom. The water was so clear that day we could see Johnny staring up at us from 200 feet down. I studied Uncle Jim as he lowered the cannonball to the floor. Was he making up these stories? Had they really happened? I couldn't decide. "How did you get the cannonball?" Sean asked him. Jim shrugged. Just kept it. No one else wanted it. I always was a collector. Never liked to part with anything. He gestured around the room. As you can see, I like a lot of souvenirs. We followed him down a short hall to a back room. The hall had tall bookshelves on both sides. They were filled with books and old-looking toys and games. I saw 2 model sailing ships in glass bottles. A human skull rested at the top of one shelf. And now I'm going to show you my vast treasure, Uncle Jim said. He pulled a chain, and a ceiling light flashed on. We were in a long, low room without windows. A door with a large, rusted lock on it stood at the back. I gazed in amazement at the clutter of knickknacks and souvenirs. My eyes stopped at 2 big wooden trunks standing side by side in the center. Are those pirate treasure chests? I asked. Jim laughed. They're just treasure chests. I wasn't a pirate, you know. Sometimes I liked to imagine it, though. Dreamed about being a pirate. But I was just a sailing man. The real pirate days were long before I was born. He grabbed the lid of one of the chests with both hands and started to push it open. Sean and I stepped up close. The lid swung up, and we both gasped. Gold coins! I cried. And jewels! Diamonds! It's filled to the top! The contents of the chest sparkled under the ceiling light. It really is a pirate treasure chest! Sean exclaimed. Jim held on to the lid. He had a big grin under his white mustache. I think our excitement pleased him. I uncovered this chest while leading a voyage to the Fiji Islands, he said. Can you imagine what I felt when I stumbled upon it buried behind a thick tangle of coconut trees? I thought I was dreaming. I stood there for I don't know how long, just staring at what I had found. I couldn't resist. I dug both hands into the chest and let the gold coins and shimmering jewels run through my fingers. This must be worth $1 million, Sean stammered. He watched me run my hands through the treasure, his eyes wide in amazement. $1 million, Uncle Jim said. Is that your guess too, Violet? No way, I said. It has to be worth at least $10 million. Jim chuckled. Actually, it's all worthless. I dropped a handful of coins and stepped back. Excuse me? It's all fake, Uncle Jim said. It's counterfeit, not worth a penny. But all this treasure, I protested. The chest was left behind on the island by a movie company, he explained. They must have been making a pirate film. They didn't even bother to take the chest with them when they finished. The jewels aren't real, and neither are the coins. He sighed as he lowered the lid. But it's nice to pretend, he said. All of these treasures I've collected help me remember the wonderful adventures I had on the sea. He started toward the door. There's lots for ye to explore here, he said. I hope you'll have fun. Feel free to open the chests and explore the shelves and all the closets. I heard a loud pounding. It seemed to be coming from the back of the house. That's Mrs. Henry with our crab cake dinner, Jim said. I'll go answer the door. He stopped in the hall and turned around. Oh, one more thing. He pointed to the door with the big lock on it. That room back there. That's the only forbidden room. The house is all yours, and you can explore the lighthouse too. But don't try to go in that room. It's the only room ye must never enter. He turned and hurried to greet Mrs. Henry. Sean and I stayed, gazing around at the awesome collection of souvenirs and treasures and total junk. My eyes landed on the locked door. What could possibly be in that room? Why would Uncle Jim warn us to keep out? What was he hiding in that forbidden room? Sean and I looked at each other. We didn't say a word, but we were both thinking the same thing. We knew we couldn't resist. We knew that as soon as Uncle Jim was out of sight, we would be opening that door.
Slappy here, everyone! Do you have the feeling this story is about to turn scary? I suddenly have a creepy, crawly feeling at the back of my neck. Or is that just termites? Sean and Violet had better get plenty of sleep. The ocean holds many surprises. Once, I held a seashell up to my ear and guess what? I didn't hear the roar of the ocean. I heard a voice saying, "Slappy, you're the best. Slappy, you're awesome." I was so surprised. It took me a few seconds to realize the voice was me. I was talking to myself. Okay, guys, on with the story.